Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jim Coyle. I am the president of the Gateway Regional Chamber of Commerce, and it is really good to be here this afternoon with you. In fact, I am in this amazing ballroom, and for me that is terrific because I spend my life in ballrooms, but for the last year I have not been able to do that. So we wanted to come in today and do our awards ceremony, in fact our 109th annual awards ceremony, as a live event in a ballroom, so that we could really feel the importance of the awards that we're giving out. Now, you know, the amazing thing is that the Chamber has been doing this for 109 years, and always in the middle of the winter. And I've always been scared to death that we would have to cancel because we'd get a big snowstorm. So that has not happened, but this year we almost did cancel. And the pandemic has totally changed things for all of us. But for an organization that depends on large events, this has been a very, very difficult time. And that's why I'm so excited to be back here, because we are able to do this as a live event. Now, our theme today is celebrating COVID heroes. And so many of our members have just really stepped up and done an amazing job getting us through the pandemic. And we're going to recognize three different sectors today, but they're only actually a piece of what has been done, because we have all other kinds of companies, from banks to computer technology companies. One of the ones that I think is most important and dear to my heart is Community Access Unlimited, which provides services to thousands of people with special needs. And throughout the pandemic, they've continued. Their people show up to work every day and they do what needs to be done. So they all deserve our recognition and thanks. So this event would not be possible without the input of so many of our members, and we really appreciate what you have done for us during this past year. And for this event, we have a large number of sponsors, and our two host sponsors today are Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield and Overlook Medical Center. And so I want to especially thank them, but also click through on the link to the virtual event journal, and you can get an idea of the other Chamber members who have stepped up to help sponsor this event. I would also like to thank the Airport Marriott Hotel for allowing us to use this beautiful ballroom today. This is where we would normally have our big dinner, and there would be 500-600 people in here having a lot of fun. Not quite the same talking to an empty room, or a pretty empty room. We do have a few people here, but different than having a jam-packed room, but still it's good to be back. And I also want to thank Kaz Beelan from Premier Media. Kaz is doing our videography and our streaming today and has done a lot of work for the Chamber and does that really, really well. So now I'd like to introduce the Gateway Regional Chamber of Commerce Chairman of the Board of Directors, Dr. Jack Odette. As I say, Dr. Odette is the chairman of the board, and he will be the master of ceremonies today. He is the chief medical officer at Overlook Medical Center.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So welcome to the Gateway Regional Chamber of Commerce's 109th Annual Awards Meeting. If there is a word that could encapsulate this past year, it would be wow. Usually this is a big dinner with hundreds of people filling the massive ballroom, talking and frankly having a very festive, wonderful time. Well, this year, as Jim mentioned, is a bit different. Instead of coming together for a night of celebration, this year we're coming together virtually for an afternoon celebrating our COVID heroes. So look, I'm not going to candy coat how this year has been. 2020 has definitely been a very rough year. It was rough for you, It was rough for the chamber. But thanks to your support, the chamber has kept its lights on, the doors have been open, and we've been able to provide the valuable services that our members need and benefit from. When the pandemic hit hard last spring, and all the hospitals in the region quickly ran out of personal protective equipment, where did we turn? The Regional Chamber of Commerce. Jim Coyle and his staff reached out to the entire business community and started a donation drive that resulted in hundreds of thousands of items of PPE being donated. So, when the Port Authority was facing a severe shortage of warehouse space, where did they turn?
Gateway Chamber.
That's right, thank you, to the Gateway Chamber. You're a quick study there, my friend. By reaching out to the members of the Gateway Warehouse Association, we identified millions of square feet of open space which could be used to meet the heightened demand. So when the members in the logistics and manufacturing areas were constrained by their lack of workers, where do they turn?
Gateway Chamber.
There we go. Again, the Chamber started a series of job fairs that have been helping people get back to work and have got new high school and college graduates employed. That's wonderful. The list goes on and on, as it has for 110 years, and it will continue to go on. So last July, I became the chairman of the Chamber's Board of Directors, and I wanted to commend my predecessor, Rich Callahan, who did a terrific job at that time. He didn't know that in the middle of his tenure, he'd be hit with the pandemic and all the associated obstacles that we would face. But he guided us through these most difficult times and helped set the stage to help get us through the year. Jim Coyle, the Chamber's president, leads an excellent staff, including Camila Cuevas, Eric Noah Slawski, and Rebecca Lovelace. I want to thank all of them for their efforts to help our members. The Chamber staff has been frontline and essential to so many businesses. So with that, we would like to get to this afternoon's awards. It is a tradition at this event, our 109th, to recognize 3 companies for their exemplary dedication to the community and to the Chamber. This year, as Jim had mentioned, we're going to break with tradition and instead recognize 3 business sectors that have been essential to getting us through these months of pandemic and shutdown. Without their efforts, many, many people would have died. Without their efforts, people would not have been able to stay at home and continue to work. So throughout the pandemic, in this region alone, tens of thousands of men and women from hundreds, if not thousands of businesses have every day gotten out of bed, gone to work, and gone to work on the front line to allow so many of us to stay home. These men and women are the heroes, and so today we are celebrating their work and their sacrifices. After the presentation of these awards, our Senator Cory Booker will be providing the keynote address for today's event. I can assure you that it will be worth hearing. So the first sector that we're going to honor this afternoon is healthcare. And not surprisingly, we are going to start by recognizing the men and women that are on the front lines of healthcare. These dedicated individuals have sacrificed so much that it is impossible to adequately say thank you or even fully comprehend how difficult it has been for them. We will, however, try to do so. It is my privilege to introduce Howard Cutler of Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey. Howard is the Vice President for Healthcare Delivery, and in that role works closely with the region's hospitals. Howard will introduce the hospital awards. He will be joining us virtually.
It's a pleasure to join my distinguished colleagues and friends for one of New Jersey's proudest and oldest traditions. I am honored that the Gateway Chamber asked me, on behalf of Horizon, to share a few thoughts about the categories and organizations we are honoring tonight during these remarkable times. Of course, this is the time when we normally come together to rub elbows at the banquet table, mingle at the bar, shake hands, share observations and stories, and ultimately celebrate the business heroes that make our region and our state strong. Instead, I'm here in my home office. While the pandemic has temporarily changed the way we gather together for dinners, meetings, and celebrations, it hasn't altered the enterprising spirit behind our annual meeting. If anything, it exemplifies it. Digital technologies like Zoom and WebEx keep us together, and a resilient spirit to conquer COVID draws us even closer with a singular focus. 1 year ago, who knew how much we would rely on remote and virtual meetings? Who knew how technology would come so critical to how we interact with each other, see a medical professional, conduct our classroom learning, be entertained, and frankly, work from home? While these are the new routines as we do battle with this pandemic, we understand that being able to carry on and to hold on to this new normal has required anything but a routine effort. I myself reinforced to my Horizon colleagues to leverage video capabilities rather than teleconferencing as an important vehicle to see our team and check in on them. So tonight, we are here to salute the true heroes who have quietly but remarkably made this new normal possible for all of us in light of the unprecedented and sadly potentially deadly challenges we face. This is also the month in which we pause and pay tribute to great African American leaders in history. I am personally inspired by the life and legend of Arthur Ashe. I was exposed to his accomplishments years ago by a friend who served on the board of directors of the Legacy Youth Tennis and Education Organization in my hometown, Philadelphia, which at the time was affiliated with Ashe. As a pioneer on the tennis court, Arthur was the first African American to win the men's singles title at Wimbledon and the U.S. Open, and the first African American man to be ranked number 1 in the world. After he left the game, he became an advocate for justice and civil rights, not only writing and working toward greater inclusion in tennis, but also to overturn injustice around the world. He was an immensely successful athlete who overcame significant bias to become a truly transcendent figure. But Ashe also struggled with health problems. He was hospitalized for heart bypass surgery in 1983. As a result of the procedure, he contracted AIDS on account of a transfusion of infected blood. Ashe could very well have dwelled on the question of why me, but instead, he demonstrated resolve and pivoted to allow others to learn from his misfortune. He founded the Arthur Ashe Foundation for the Defeat of AIDS. He spoke about his own diagnosis and worked hard to educate others surrounding the misconception that AIDS was distinctly an affliction of homosexuals or IV drug users. So when I think of heroes, I think of Ashe's own words. True heroism is remarkably sober and very undramatic. It is not the urge to surpass all others at whatever cost, but the urge to serve others at whatever the cost. In these challenging times, no heroes embody the spirit Ashe described more than the doctors, nurses, specialists, and other healthcare providers of New Jersey's healthcare facilities. From small hospitals to large health systems, these heroes on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic, they don't wear capes, they wear scrubs. Their battle scars are easy to see. They're the deep creases on cheeks and foreheads from wearing masks, goggles, and shields for hours on end when COVID patients flooded the emergency rooms, intensive care units, and hospital beds in their institutions. It's the burden they carry from watching patients separated from their families enduring an unimaginable pandemic. These heroes don't ask, why me? They ask, who's next? At great personal risk of contracting COVID and infecting their own loved ones, they stepped into crisis after crisis. They treated the sick, stabilized patients, and saved lives. They comforted patients who were separated from their loved ones, battling an invisible villain for their very lives as we tried to understand how to treat these cases. They did it day after day after day and wave after wave of COVID. They fought through adversity, exhaustion, and depression. They are at their post this very minute to make sure patients get the care and treatment they need to beat COVID. And to be sure, being a good healthcare worker is not simply about expertise. It's about courage. It's about conviction. It's about compassion. It's about the calling they have chosen. I am humbled to pay tribute to the hospitals and healthcare workers. These heroes have stood between us and the mortal risks this pandemic poses to us all. As the Vice President of Healthcare Delivery for Horizon, I am in awe of how my colleagues at Overlook Hospital, a member of Atlantic Health System, Trinitas Regional Medical Center, and RWJ Barnabas have responded to this healthcare emergency. Our members across communities they serve in Union and Morris counties, from Elizabeth and Newark, as well as Middlesex, Somerset, Hudson, and Monmouth and Ocean counties, have all benefited from the extraordinary efforts of these organizations and their remarkable employees. The pandemic has thrown every challenge imaginable at you, but with each challenge, you have grown stronger and more resolute to prevail. You've risen to the occasion and then some. Horizon has and will continue to be with you every step along the way of this journey. We've listened to you, worked to make important changes to our policies, to alleviate administrative burden and position you to succeed and withstand the pressures this pandemic is putting on your operations, your financial wherewithal, your employees. We've also deployed financial resources to assist you and the communities you serve as we battle this invisible disease. Alone, each is a drop. Together, we are an ocean. And united, we will put the pandemic behind us and emerge stronger than ever.
Thank you very much, Howard. Your comment regarding the urge to serve others, whatever the cost, really hit home with me, and I couldn't agree with you more. At this point, I would like to introduce the presidents of 3 of our local hospitals so they can receive their award. And in that regard, we'll start with Mr. Alan Lieber, the president of Overlook Medical Center. There we go.
Okay.
Congratulations, Alan. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Odette, and I want to start by just congratulating Jim and you for leading the chamber through this incredibly challenging year and keeping the focus on providing support to small businesses in the community. So thank you. And I want to acknowledge Horizon as the presenter here of also being part of the healthcare community. And I'm going to congratulate my colleagues who are coming up, who we were often on the phone together through this pandemic, trying to compare notes and figure out how to coordinate between the 3 Union County facilities. And really, the teamwork that got shared, I'll talk about the Overlook teamwork in a minute, but really throughout the community and with other healthcare providers was extraordinary. So this was an extraordinary year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I am really honored to accept this award on behalf of the 3,900 team members at Overlook who just were nothing short of inspiring. We've taken care of over 2,000 COVID patients, and we've touched another 250,000 lives in Union County because we continue to provide their regular health care despite the incredible challenges that COVID has presented to us. We had to figure out how to ramp up from 40 ICU beds to 109. We had to figure out how to take care of a census of 309 COVID patients. We had to figure out how to turn the lights back on and take care of the community's healthcare needs. And then during the second surge in November, we had to figure out how to coexist with COVID. And throughout that, the teams at Overlook demonstrated creativity, they remained focused on the patient, even though oftentimes in many different situations, they were personally at risk. People did things that are totally out of their wheelhouse. We had cardiologists acting as super residents. We had physical therapists manning proning teams. We had physical therapists being our screeners. We figured out how to become an LTAC for a couple of months. And no matter what the ask was, our team rose to the occasion and found a way to do it. So I feel very fortunate to be accepting this award, but I feel even more fortunate to be able to work with 3,900 heroes at Overlook. And so I thank you very much for the award, and thank you, Jim, for helping to recognize Overlook. Thank you.
Accepting the award for RWJ University Hospital at Rahway will be its president, Mr. Kurt Tice. Would you like to say a few words, please?
Well, thank you, Dr. Odette. And I'd like to start, as Alan did, by certainly thanking Jim Coyle and Dr. Odette and the work of the Chamber during this very difficult year, and for the work that you did to support the organization and many organizations over the course of this past year. I'd also like to thank Horizon and Overlook Medical Center for sponsoring such a wonderful event, and I'm clearly happy to be here at the 109th award ceremony this afternoon, so thank you very much for asking me to attend. As Alan has said, and I echo those same comments, so you're not going to find a whole lot different in the things that I have to say, but I really want to recognize Alan and Gary for the work that they did, and that we all did working together as Union County hospitals to try to make sure that we could meet the needs of our communities and the patients in those communities. Most importantly, I think I'm here, clearly, to accept this award on behalf of the employees and staff at RWJ Rahway. I've been in healthcare for a lot of years. I think I'm almost not sorry to say, but I guess amazed to say, this is my 45th year in healthcare. As many of you know, I started as a therapist, and I have never in my entire career seen an environment like this. I've never seen one more stressful, more challenging, feeling more fruitless at times. But then the team comes together, as they always have, regarding the challenges that they're faced with, and as has been said, they bring creativity, ingenuity, and drive to the process and meet those challenges and successfully get us through. You know, it's often been said that, in fact, if you talk to the staff, they often don't feel like heroes, right? They feel like they're doing the job that they were trained to do, that they worked so hard to do, and what they actually enjoy doing, which is really taking care of people when those folks are a little down on their luck and can't quite care for themselves. This was an extremely challenging environment that really pressed the psyche of our caregivers, and I think they're starting to come away from that now. But it's been a challenge, and it will continue to be a challenge because, as I said, we've seen things in this past year that we'd never seen before. So I'll end by simply thanking everyone who's been involved in helping us do our work. The Chamber certainly can't not let the community not be recognized, because without the support of the community to uplift the spirits of the healthcare workers, it would have been a very dark moment in our history. So thank you to them, and clearly thank you to the healthcare workers and the staff at Rahway for all of the work that they did and for the challenges that they met and the creativity that they brought. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kurt. Certainly, last but not least, accepting the award for Trinitas Regional Medical Center will be Gary Horan.
There you go. Thank you, Alan. Well, when you're the last one to talk, everything you say has already been said, but I think it's worth repeating. Thank you, Dr. Odette. Thank you, Chamber. Thank you, Horizon Blue Cross. Thank you, Overlook and Atlantic Health for sponsoring. The acceptance of this award is very personal because I'm accepting it on behalf of the 2,700 employees at Trinitas, the 500 physicians, the volunteers, the auxiliaries, and the Board of Trustees. All of our staff, doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, and maintenance and engineers, environmental services, and food services personnel rose to the occasion. They rose to the occasion and continue to rise to the occasion. So to call them heroes is really an understatement. They're much more than that. Their selfless service to over 13,000 COVID patients was extraordinary and inspiring. I thank them for their vocation. They simply do not go to work. They follow their passion. One of the things that has happened in this past year that really impacted me was early on in the April and May period when we had so many people dying, so many patients dying. For the first time in my career, and my career is like Kirk's, I'm over almost 50 years in this business, I have never experienced having to get a refrigerator truck to help support the deceased at the hospital. It was an extraordinary experience. It was extraordinary for the staff who had to help relocate the bodies to the annex that we called it, and it was extraordinary for everybody else. Every day we had a prayer service at the annex to bless the bodies that were there. Thankfully, we're not seeing that kind of result now. We are not seeing it. I mean, I think we have turned a corner. But I do think the extraordinary work of our employees and physicians and everybody associated with the medical center goes above and beyond what anybody ever could imagine. It was truly inspiring. So what I have to say, Trinitas family, this award's for you. Thank you very much.
So our next set of awards will be going to the warehousing and logistics discipline. So where would we all be if we couldn't get things shipped to us? Everyday hospitals receive shipments of critical supplies. I'm sure that every one of us receives packages at home on a regular basis. Without these supplies continually flowing, how long would we last? Probably not very long. There is a huge industry that makes this all happen, and we have three fine companies with us today to represent that industry. Presenting the award for the warehouse and logistics industry will be the Chamber's very good friend, Assemblyman Jamal Hawley, representing New Jersey's 20th Legislative District.
Mr. Coyle, President, thank you so much, and Happy New Year to you and the Chamber. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here with all of you today. It's been a great honor to work with you all over the years. More particularly, even more so now, it is a great privilege and honor to present the Logistics and Warehouse Award to three fabulous companies throughout the state of New Jersey. I don't know what we would do without you. I mean, people really take some things for granted, but had it not been for FedEx, UPS, Linden Warehouse, A&M, Industrial Supply, and all the other delivery and logistics companies throughout this time, I don't know where we would be without you. You are a great part of our community, and we're just very honored that the Chamber has taken a great pause during this COVID pandemic to honor you. With FedEx, together with UPS, you've delivered numerous services to our community. FedEx has the responsibility for moving the vaccines that are now available to our community, so thank you so much for that. I happened to see on the news a few weeks back with all the trucks leaving all the sites, and it was just an American story to watch of the men and women on the ground who just took great pride in the delivery of those services. To Linden Warehouse, You've actually stayed open throughout the entire pandemic. It's one of the most respected businesses in Linden for a very long time. I grew up in Roselle, New Jersey, so we're very familiar with all the work that you do. And then lastly, A&M, Industrial Supply from Rahway, where my parents grew up, and my family had businesses in Rahway, and you've been a great part of that community for multi-generations, and it's just an honor to finally put some faces to some names and to all of what you do. But collectively, thank you. Collectively, job well done. And collectively, we appreciate everything that you've done. So it's an honor to present these awards to these three fabulous companies for your services. God bless you, stay safe, and continue to do a great job that you've done so far. God bless you. Thank you.
We are now going to have the various honorees come up one at a time to receive their award. And we're going to start with Gerald Stadlin, who will be accepting on behalf of the Linden Warehouse, where he is the Chief Operating Officer. Jared. Okay, appreciate it. There you go.
On behalf of Linden Warehouse, I would first like to extend our sincere thanks to Assemblyman Holly, Jim Coyle, Dr. Audette, and the wonderful team at Gateway for their strong support of our vibrant and resilient regional business community. I would also like to congratulate the frontline healthcare workers and utilities who are also receiving awards today. While both of your industries make critical contributions to our everyday lives during the pandemic, your contributions have been invaluable. I am humbled and thankful to be receiving this award with you and my colleagues in this industry. Each day we are reminded of how challenging the past 11 months have been for our country, our communities, our colleagues, and our families. Yet each day we move forward, mindful of the challenges, appreciative of the bright spots, and cautious and responsible in our actions. We have found a new normal and remain prepared to continually adjust how we live and work. I am accepting this award on behalf of the warehouse and logistics industry. Back in March, as many businesses were asked to scale back or close during the pandemic, warehousing and logistics were deemed essential. We all observed firsthand how grocery supply warehouses and online fulfillment companies became vital to how we supply and resupply our homes and businesses. I believe we can all personally attest to the fact that warehouse and delivery systems earned that essential tag that they were given. As a 3PL warehouse, Linden Warehouse handles a variety of products ranging from industrial to food grade and most everything in between. Yet we didn't know what the essential label would mean to us. So we asked our customers, what essential products do we store and ship for you? What we learned was that Linden stores and ships products that are key components in sanitizers, home and personal care supplies, cleaning supplies, and in one case, a component of the COVID-19 test kits. So like many businesses, we put in place a plan to keep our team safe and healthy so that we could serve our essential role within the supply chain. It hasn't been easy. Daily temperature checks, masks and gloves, frequent hand washing and sanitization of our facilities are now the norm. And I know the same is true for many warehouse and logistics providers and workers throughout the country where working from home is not an option. But we work each day to service our local and extended community. And on behalf of those individuals, those operating forklifts, preparing orders, labeling, planning, scheduling, and loading, we thank you and Gateway for your contributions and accept this award today on your behalf. So thank you.
Congratulations. Our next honoree will be Fedex, and they will be represented by Senior Manager Jim Findeson.
Good afternoon. On behalf of all the FedEx employees worldwide, we are very proud to be an integral part of the battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the onset of the pandemic, FedEx has moved over 55 kilotons of PPE and humanitarian aid shipments, including more than 2 billion face masks. With 680 aircraft and over 200,000 vehicles, our network was built for this. Now, it's the vaccine shipments moving our system since mid-December that rank among the most important work we've done in the history of our company. But it takes the 600,000 proud and dedicated employees worldwide that have tirelessly performed to make it happen. This is who we are, and this is what we do. So we thank you for this recognition, and just as we appreciate the outstanding efforts of our own employees, we appreciate every one of the essential workers in this room. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jim. One of the enviable parts of this task is I get to see the different sizes of fonts on the remarks. I'm glad to realize I'm not the only one. So our next award is going to our friends at A&M Industrial, and accepting on their behalf will be David Young.
Beautiful trophy.
There you go.
Well, thank you very much, Assemblyman Holly. It was a pleasure meeting you just before. Thank you for your kind words, and we definitely have a shared history, I see, in the city of Rahway. And I'd also like to thank Jim Coyle and the Gateway Regional Chamber of Commerce. Jim, we go back a long ways, and I can tell you that I've grown both personally and our company professionally as a result of our relationship together. Your friendship and the resources that you've shared with us over the years. So thank you for that. We have an amazing team at A&M Industrial. And I think as I look back over the 30 some odd years of running the business, I think the most memorable and impactful times have been during times of crises. Back in, it's almost 20 years when the World Trade Center collapsed on 9/11, our company was called upon for all types of emergency equipment, and we were open for 8 straight days, 24 hours a day. And I never had to ask an employee to come in either at day or night. You know, people just came in and did what they have to get materials into the rescue efforts and the rebuilding in Lower Manhattan. In 2012, during Superstorm Sandy, again, we worked under the most difficult of circumstances. We had no power, we had no lights, we had no computer systems, and we were called upon to provide critical components for the utilities so that the utilities, gas and electric, could get back up and running and get power into our region. And here over the last year with the pandemic, we worked really hard early on last year sourcing a lot of PPE from around the world. It's funny, I used to tell people I sold PPE for a living, and nobody knew what that was until last year. Now everybody in America knows what personal protective equipment is and how important it is. So I want to thank all of the associates of A&M for the hard work that they've done this past year. We didn't miss a beat. Our distribution center was open. We never missed a day of work getting materials out the door for critical manufacturing in New Jersey, food processing, pharmaceutical, research and manufacturing, and essential services throughout the region. It's a real honor to be recognized, and this award today is for all of the people at A&M. Thank you very much.
The final set of awards is going to be on the utilities. And the question would be, have you ever sat in a cold, dark house? I think we all have shared that experience. What happens to you when you turn on the faucet and nothing happens, nothing comes out? Without heat, electricity, and water, no hospital could stay open. Without heat, electricity, and water, none of us could stay home very long and continue to work at home. The frontline workers of the utility industry never stayed home. They have helped keep the lights on, the water running, and the furnaces working. They have proven to be critical workers, often behind the scenes, and we greatly appreciate their efforts. Joining us today to present the award to the utility industry is the President of the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, Joe Fiordaliso. President Fiordaliso joined the BPU in 2006 when he was nominated by Governor Cory and confirmed in the Senate. He has had a lasting influence on the BPU and New Jersey's utility industry. So welcome, President Fiordaliso.
Well, thank you, Doctor, and it really is a pleasure for me to be here today with you. I'm honored and frankly humbled to be part of today's ceremony, to recognize those public utility workers who too often don't receive the recognition they deserve. In a typical year, public utilities are essential to our way of life. They make it possible to do business, and they keep our factories, offices, and homes running. In 2020, and even still today, unfortunately, it's more obvious than ever how important utility services are. The past year was not typical in any way and was an incredibly difficult year for each and every one of us. We faced unimaginable sickness and loss. Nearly 500,000 Americans have died. Many of us have had the ability to socially distance by quarantining at home and working remotely. The people we are here to honor today have not had that luxury, and instead answered the call to step up and take an extra risk to keep the public safe. As president of the agency that regulates the state utilities, I, along with my colleagues on the board, understand the sacrifices that utility workers make every single day. These men and women spend their time up in the air, literally, fixing our utility infrastructure, on the ground, reading our meters, underground, inspecting pipes, or performing any number of other vital services that keep the lights on, the heat pumping, and the water flowing. More than 38,000 men and women work around the clock to ensure we have the essential services of water, wastewater, electricity, natural gas, telecommunications, and cable TV. If we didn't have cable TV yesterday, you would have missed a terrible Super Bowl game. That's a commitment that these workers uphold through weekends and holidays, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, on blue sky days and during inclement weather. They maintain and operate tens of billions of dollars in critical utility infrastructure that supports the rhythms of our daily lives. Without them, literally, we would be in the dark. As the president of the board, I cannot thank them enough for what they have done through these difficult times. And we're not out of the woods yet. I would also like to thank New Jersey's utility industry. As a whole, the utilities have been extremely supportive. on a wide variety of issues during the last year, including imposing a moratorium on service shutoffs since the pandemic began. And in most cases, I'd like to mention, they did that voluntarily. Our utilities, for the most part, are wonderful corporate citizens, and the citizens of New Jersey should know what they do. I thank them and congratulate the honorees, and I look forward to continue working with the companies, all the utilities that we regulate. And as I've said since I assumed the position of president, my philosophy has always been to work collaboratively, together. We serve the same constituents. We each know our jobs. We each know where we're coming from. And there's no reason for adversarial encounters because we're doing the people's work. You're doing the people's work. We're doing the people's work at the New Jersey Board. It is with gratitude and admiration and great appreciation that I wish both the utilities and their workers well throughout the rest of this year as we continue fighting through this pandemic together. And it will eventually be behind us. I ask that you all be safe, take care of yourselves, but maybe most important, take care of one another. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Fiordaliso. At this point, we would like to bring our honorees one at a time up to the podium. And first, we're going to ask Christy McMullen, President of Elizabethtown Gas, to join us. There you go.
So I'm honored to be here to accept this award on behalf of Elizabethtown Gas. I thank the Gateway Chamber for this recognition, President Fiordaliso for his remarks at the outset of this important event. I'd also like to extend my thanks to the other honorees in the utility, healthcare, and logistics industries, all of whom came together to keep our region running throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. It's a privilege for Elizabethtown Gas to share this honor with you today. Elizabethtown Gas provides safe, reliable, affordable, clean energy to some 300,000 customers across New Jersey. We're especially proud that our employees across the company persevered through this pandemic to ensure that our customers received uninterrupted natural gas service. Notwithstanding the myriad of challenges presented by COVID-19, our operations, constructions, and engineering employees continue to carry out the work necessary to ensure the reliability and safety of our system. In 2020, our field personnel replaced over 76 miles of gas pipe throughout the Elizabethtown Gas service territory, upgrading our infrastructure using the latest technologies. In addition, we welcomed over 3,800 new residential and commercial customers, providing the critical natural gas supply needed to heat their homes and run their businesses. Our office personnel, from sales to customer service, exceeded all expectations in ensuring that our customers received the highest levels of service despite the interruption to normal ways of working resulting from the pandemic. I'm also especially proud of our IT teams. They successfully completed a major system conversion just as the pandemic was coming to the fore. We literally went live with 30-plus systems the week we went into lockdown and moved much of our operations, including our contact center, to remote work. Through these collective efforts, Elizabethtown Gas has been recognized once again as the #1 gas utility in the J.D. Power's East Region Customer Satisfaction Survey. And that's the 6th year in a row. And these results don't happen by accident. They're the outcome of the hard work and dedication of our employees. I want to again thank the Gateway Chamber and its membership for this honor and for continuing to ensure that the voice of the business community is heard throughout these challenging times. Now more than ever, the Chamber's role is especially important as our region recovers from the impact of the pandemic. Elizabethtown Gas looks forward to fueling the recovery of the business community and the region at large as we emerge from this pandemic and on and into the future. Thank you.
Congratulations, Christy. Our next honoree will be New Jersey American Water, and representing them will be Tina Early. There you go.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the Gateway Chamber and President Fiordaliso for recognizing the essential services that utilities provide and are currently still providing during this pandemic. Although I have the privilege of being here today to represent New Jersey American Water, I really think that the honor truly goes to those in the field, in our operations team, running the water treatment plants, out in crews fixing main breaks, our meter readers, our field service responders. They are the ones that have been keeping life flowing for our customers, and I can't say enough how grateful I am that they do what they do, and they've been able to pivot as well as they have with all of the safety protocols, changes in fleet, all of the technology that they needed, as well as the background folks in IT and the various departments, making sure they had everything they need to keep the water flowing. High quality, reliable water service was not something that our customers needed to add to their worry list during this crisis. And we all know that the worry list was quite long for so many of us. Again, I just want to thank all of our operations team for everything that they have done. This award is for you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Tina. Our final award in this particular group will be going to the electrical operations for PSE&G, and accepting it will be Jack Bridges, who is their vice president. And since he's not here to accept this, we'll demonstrate the bling for our friends at PSE&G. So take it away, Jack.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this honor. PSE&G believes in being a good corporate citizen, which is why the PSE&G Foundation has committed $2.5 million in response to the pandemic. This includes $1 million to the New Jersey Pandemic Relief Fund. In addition, PSE&G donated 200,000 pairs of gloves and 50,000 masks. Please be healthy and safe. And thanks again for this award.
Congratulations to all the businesses that are being honored today, and thank you to the people that work in all these businesses, because you're the ones that frankly really make the difference. And now we are honored to have our keynote speaker, our very own New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, will provide our keynote. Senator Booker, welcome.
Hey, it's Cory Booker. I want to thank Jim and the Gateway Regional Chamber of Commerce as you all gather together virtually for the 109th anniversary dinner. This is an extraordinarily important gathering, and this organization represents the best of who we are in this country, our focus on our commitment to community, towards economic prosperity, and towards the well-being of all. I want to congratulate all the honorees, but especially thank this great gathering for elevating and celebrating so many of our pandemic heroes, so many of those who stand on the front lines, who have been saving lives, who have been bridging the gaps and helping us as a state, as a region, to endure, to make it through. Today is a time that we recognize those light workers and indeed celebrate them, for they are ensuring that we, with commitment and conviction, can continue through this storm. I'm honored to be your senator, one of your 2 senators, and I will continue to work to bring home the resources we need to not only get through this pandemic, but to prosper again as a state and nation to the levels that we should be, helping everyone expand opportunity for them and their families. Wishing you all the best, and thank you.
So thank you, Senator Booker. We very much appreciate you taking the time away from your important work to be with us today. And that concludes our program for today. Thank you, all of you, for joining us. And again, my congratulations to everyone who is on today, and frankly, all the other businesses that are represented within the Chamber. Thank you for those who helped support this particular event today. Your continued support for the Chamber is critical and very, very much appreciated. I trust that next year we will be all together again in person for the 110th Annual Award Ceremony. So thank you, everyone.